A little longer than a few minutes later.
Hey guys, what's going on? It's me, Tim, and I am back with another video about the Leica M10, which I have now owned for almost 2 months, and it is a great camera, but I wanted to kind of give you some thoughts and ideas about this camera and about why I am such a big fan of it. There are a lot of cameras I feel out there today that a lot of people on YouTube will shoot with because they have received it as a loaner for like a month, or maybe they had it for like a week and then they had to ship it back. And I always kind of feel like those type of videos, while they're great to give you some first impressions and some initial thoughts and ideas about the camera, 9 times out of 10, those reviews are not people who are actually out using that camera on a daily basis to really kind of get the, you know, a real idea of how that camera works. They're really meant for quick views and likes and follows on Instagram and on YouTube and on Facebook, and hey, look, I've got this new camera, and I think those are great. I'm not trying to like talk down other YouTubers, but I wanted to kind of give you a real view. Like, obviously I've now had this camera for over a month, so I can't return it. I shoot with it at almost every session, and I have a really good idea about at least almost 2 months in about how this camera works and if this camera is going to be the right camera for you moving forward. Now, I will say this. I want to say this first. I'm going to give you the bluff. And by bluff, I mean the bottom line up front. Is this camera for everyone? No. It's expensive. It's still finding it used today on the Facebook Marketplace or in other camera groups. You're still going to spend somewhere between $4,000 to $4,500 for it. It is a great camera. It does wonderful things. All of the things that the Leica M240, which I also own, which I also love, couldn't do, this camera does. But it's expensive. And I bet you're wondering, is your dollar going to go far shooting this camera? Well, it depends, but the bottom line up front is that this camera isn't for everyone. I would even argue, if you are just getting into photography and you have the allure of shooting with a Leica rangefinder, you will come to a conclusion, I feel, that is probably much different than mine. Now, what I mean by that is the shooting experience of this is extremely enjoyable. Like, with a Leica camera, you actually have to stop, concentrate on what you're shooting, and then photograph with it. But in the same sense, the Leica M10 makes all of that extremely easy. The viewfinder is bigger and it's brighter. The body is thinner than the Leica M240. A lot of people say it's like the M6. I used to have the M6. I don't anymore, but I do have the Konica Hexar RF, which is also an M-mount camera, and they are about the same size. Now, the buttons on the back are not as many. They're less. There are only 3 real buttons on the back. There are only a couple of things on the top: the shutter, the aperture, the shutter speed, the actual shutter, and this little pop-up button here where you can kind of set your ISO. The button layout is super simple. It is just like, you don't really have to think. Even the menus, when you get into the menus of this, if you've ever shot a Sony, it just makes sense. There's a lot of things about this camera that I think just makes a ton of sense. Now, this is where I think the Leica M10 shines compared to the Leica M240. I'm going to do a kind of comparison review on those two on my channel soon. But I'm a firm believer that I don't like to do a review of a camera unless I've at least shot several thousand images on it. But on this one, compared to Leica M240, it's going to give you a very brief. The buffer processing and writing to the memory card is just insanely fast in comparison. I don't know if there's how much better it can get. I mean, it is fast. The continuous shooting speed, you can just shoot for a while before the buffer actually catches up. The high ISO on this, if you're thinking about shooting this at like 6400, you can still get an excellent image with it. There's really like nothing that I can really say that's really negative about this beyond the price point. The live view, when you're shooting in live view, if you're like wearing a mask while you're out and shooting, is bright and crisp. You can see where your focus is. If you turn your viewfinder to black and white and you shoot in DNG or in the Leica RAW format, it's even easier to figure out what's in focus using the rear LCD screen, which I actually do and use a lot. That combined with the Leica Summilux, like this could be, I mean, this is about $8,000 on a camera, but it's all that you're ever going to really need. I mean, maybe you could get like a wide angle lens, but I guys, I'm just telling you this. Now I know I've done a first impressions, and now I've had this camera for 2 months, and I kind of want to just kind of do a quick update, because sometimes like I'm concerned that people feel that like someone gets a camera and they do a review for it and it gets a lot of likes and it gets a lot of reviews, a lot of views on social media, but then you never really hear said YouTuber or said photographer ever talk about that particular camera again. But look, this camera is just absolutely a joy and a pleasure to shoot with. In comparison to the other Leica digital rangefinders, I know there's the M10R and I think the M10D, and I'm sure those are great cameras, but this is probably the best of everything Leica has to offer in a package that's cheaper. Both of those other Leica M10 cameras are about twice the price of this, but it is, guys, I'm telling you, it's just a joy to shoot with. It's a joy to create. The images that I get back, the color science of the sensor in this camera is just fantastic. Now, there are some negative things about this camera. The biggest one being the battery life on this camera sucks. Now, it is a smaller battery because it's a smaller frame compared to the Leica M240. But on my M240, I used to be able to get through an entire day on one battery. You can't get that on this camera. You have to have at least 2 batteries if you're going to go out and you're going to shoot a full day. Because like your battery will die not quickly, but a lot quicker than what I kind of expected it to be, considering the fact that my M240 battery could last me all day, and I had 2 of those, and I could shoot 2 full weddings and an engagement session really on one battery. Whereas this one, if I'm shooting a full day wedding, I'm gonna at least need 2, maybe 2.5 batteries, depending upon how much I shoot with this compared to my other cameras. But yeah, I just kind of want to give in and give like a brief update after having this camera for well over a month, and I kind of want to give a follow-up. But I'm going to continue to do these type of videos with cameras as I continue to use them, because opinions oftentimes change after you've owned it for a while. And I know the excitement of gas of getting a new piece of equipment can be really exciting, and you can say really great things about a camera. But then after that kind of wears off, if you've owned it for a month, maybe 2 months, maybe 6 months, maybe a year, and all these other new cameras have come out, are you still as excited about these cameras as you first had them? So far, 2 months in, I'm still shooting this camera, still loving it, still loving the results. I'm going to share a few images that I've shot with this over the last few months, like I have in all of my videos. But it's a great camera. I think you guys would thoroughly enjoy it if you're in the market for like an M10. But yeah, it's a little bit different review of my first impression. I'm going to do a full-on review, I promise, maybe after I've had this camera for 6 months, maybe 4 months. and I've shot with it several times and in lots of different situations. I already have on this one, but I kind of want to see if that luster, if that sexiness is still there after 6 months after I've shot with it, and make sure that I haven't sold it off to buy something else, which often happens with film photographers and photographers in general. There's always something newer, better out there, but right now this is my main digital camera. I love it. Still great. I think you would enjoy it if you bought it. But yeah, guys, that's it. And I like to end any of these reviews and kind of thoughts and impression videos is that like this Leica M10 is not going to make you a better photographer. Only thing that will make you a better photographer is actually going out and shooting with the cameras that you have. Yeah, guys, thank you so much. If you guys like this video, I would love it if you would smash that thumbs up button or subscribe to this channel. Help me get to 1,000 subs before the end of the year. I appreciate you guys. Take care, and I will see you in the next video. Mahalo, my friends.